There's a little something called hashtag promises kept. Our President Trump has made promises and has tried his best to keep them, and thus far, so good. One of those things was looking at big social media, getting a little too big for their britches, violating our rights, banning us for nonsensical terms and conditions that they just change and kind of vaguely define it, but not really. But you're not doing that to these people. Why is this particular group, conservative Republicans, being targeted? And those things are actually worse, but you're not doing anything in those channels, right? We talked about anti-monopoly laws and whatnot, and I got something I want to report today from Zero Hedge. Trump declares war on Silicon Valley. The DoJ launches Google anti-monopoly probe. Once shielded by the logic of Silicon Valley's relentless churn of innovation, which dictated that no reigning tech empire could rule for long before going the way of Yahoo and AOL, tech giants like Facebook, Amazon, and Google have been subjected to intensifying antitrust pressure. Elizabeth Warren's Break Up Big Tech's billboard is only the latest example. Indeed, big tech trust busting has become one of the few issues in contemporary Washington that garners genuine bipartisan support. Since the Trump administration swept into power 2 years ago, in spite of thinly veiled opposition from Silicon Valley, as it was later revealed, big tech effectively conspired with the Clinton campaign to hurt Trump's chances. The drumbeat of unprecedented antitrust scrutiny has grown steadily louder, facilitated by the president's own publicly voiced suspicions. And remember the other day, he said, White House basically, he said, anybody that feels they've been wrongly targeted or terminated, anything that's happened on any of your social media accounts, there's a White House link we'd like you to use. We'd like to hear your story. And boy, does Jason Ipfor have a few stories for the White House. Wrong strikes, take down my channel, put it back up. Bullying and harassment, no it's not. Okay, maybe it was. And yes it is, no it's not. Again, I'll go right now. We're going on almost a month. In 2 more days, meaning the 3rd of June, will be 1 entire month since I got a strike on my account for linking the CBD oil, which I already did. Have been doing for quite a while in the description box. And they struck me on a interestingly particular video. And then I filed the appeal button, hit the link. Yep. Oh yeah, you're right, it's fine. That's not a controlled substance, it's legal CBD. Okay, no problem. A month and a half or whatever it was later, strike again, same reason, different video, same reason. Another very interesting video I was doing. Hit the appeal button. By the way, I'm following this again, but you already hit me for this about a month ago, and you agreed with me that having that link in my description is okay. There's over 500 YouTubers out there. There's like, go search for CBD hemp oil, you'll see what I'm talking about. No response, no response, no response, no response. I count roughly 18 days later. I've told you this, but there might be some new people who haven't heard this story yet. 18 days later, still no response. I go and look. Wait a minute. It says it said something about a link before. The reason was linking the external website that might violate their term. Something. That's funny. Now it says violation of YouTube's policy on harmful or dangerous content. Oh my God, you guys switched it. You switched the reason after I already filed the appeal and realized, oh shit, yeah, he's right. We undid the last strike and agreed with him. We can't give him a strike for the same thing. Well, that's all right. Just change it behind the scenes. Don't tell anybody. I've sent emails. I've contacted their legal team through YouTube. We don't handle this type of stuff. We deal with copyright stuff only. Good. Because I know a president who's in a certain White House that does handle this kind of stuff. I know a guy. Anyways, and on Friday, the levee finally broke. Just before midnight on Friday, at the close of what was a hectic month for markets, Wall Street Journal dropped a bombshell of a story. The paper reported that the DOJ has opened an antitrust investigation of Alphabet Inc., that's the parent company of Google and YouTube, which could present a major new layer of regulatory scrutiny for the tech search giant, according to people familiar with the matter. I love that saying. Sources say. The report was sourced to people familiar with the matter, but was swiftly corroborated by the New York Times and then Bloomberg and others. For months now, the FTC has appeared to be gearing up for a showdown with big tech. The agency, which shares antitrust authority with the DoJ, has created a new commission that could help undo big tech tie-ups like Facebook's acquisition of Instagram, and hired lawyers who have advanced new anti-monopoly theories that would help justify the breakup of companies like Amazon. Well, if it could help do that to companies like Amazon, I think there's some companies like them as far as their size and what they do. Google, Alphabet, YouTube, etc. I don't know. Facebook. Let me think. Twitter. Exactly. Instagram, which again is part of Facebook. But as it turns out, the Trump administration's first salvo against big tech didn't come from the FTC. Instead, this responsibility has been delegated to the DoJ, which has reportedly been tasked with supervising the investigation into Google. That's not super surprising, since the FTC already had its chance to nail Google with an anti-monopoly probe back in 2013. But the agency came up short. From what we can tell, it appears the administration will divvy up responsibility for any future antitrust investigations between the two agencies, which means the FTC, which is already reportedly preparing to levy a massive fine against Facebook, could end up taking take the lead in those cases. Well, what was 2013? Who was in charge there? Oh, Obama. You don't think, FTC, we got plenty, we could destroy these tech companies right now. We got a call from the man upstairs. Yeah, listen, you need to back off that. You like your pension? Yeah. You like your pension? You can keep your pension. Only if you listen to the man upstairs. And by upstairs, we mean the man in the White House. And you're going to be effing with his gigantic illegal spy apparatus. And he don't like that. So back the F off. You're not going to press any kind of charges or fines or levy anything on them. Okay? Though the Wall Street Journal did not specify which aspects of Google's business might come under the microscope. I wonder. YouTube. A string of multi-billion euro fines recently levied by the EU might have offered us up some guidance. The bloc's antitrust authority, which has been far more eager to take on American tech giants than its American counterpart, for reasons that should be obvious to all, has fined Google over its practice of bundling software with its standard Android license, the way its search engine rankings favor its own product listings, and ways it has harmed competition in the digital advertising market. During the height of the controversy over big tech's abuses of sensitive user data last year, The Verge published a story speculating about how the monopolistic tendencies of each of the dominant Silicon Valley tech giants could be remedied. For Google, The Verge argued, the best remedy would be a ban on acquisitions, a strategy that has been bandied about in Congress. While we feel it's no exaggeration to say that this is only the beginning of what could become an epoch-defining story arc, and like every good story, this one will have main characters and big players. As far as we can tell, one of the leading roles will likely be played by Justice Department Antitrust Chief Makan Delrahman, a previously obscure Trump administration official who is now in charge of one of the most consequential investigations in recent memory. Setting aside what it might mean for Silicon Valley, the investigation will also have major ramifications for markets, since shares of the big tech companies have been at the vanguard of the torrid post-crisis bull market. Though the influence of FANG stocks on all overall market performance has worn this year, they remain hugely influential. So the question will be here for you. If you're in, say, some Facebook stock, some Google stock, and all of a sudden they bring the hammer down on those companies, massive fine, breaking them apart potentially, is that typically good for a company stock or bad for a company stock? Now, in this upside down world we live in today, you never know. We might have an all-time rally on Google stock. Facebook stock goes crazy. But in reality, no, it should crash down. And rightfully so. Tech giants, by the way, are by far and away the biggest contributors to the S&P sales growth. S&P stock index. And they have generated nearly all SPX after-tax adjusted profit margin since the crisis of 2008. So again, what happens if there's a crisis in social media land? Antitrust, anti-monopoly, break them apart. Oh my God. You really think markets would rally on that? Again, I know we're in an upside down world these days, but, normally, no. Crash time. And I do think that's what would happen. Whether it was brief or not, rebound, a crash would probably occur because of that. At least in those stocks. Given that big tech valuations are often based, at least partly, on the notion that these companies will achieve an unassailable market position, an antitrust campaign could be extremely, here we go. I should have just waited and read you this. Extremely harmful, not just for publicly traded tech giants, but for the entire Silicon Valley pipeline, as at Super Mugatu explains. If the DoJ is going after Google, is number one real and number two indicative of antitrust being back, and DC going after San Francisco, whatever, or not San Francisco, SF and SaaS, System as a Service, is screwed. These names are all trading on bets that they get to some scale where they're entrenched and then get bought out. Yeah, oh, they're going to get bought out. Oh, yeah. Somebody's fixing to do a JP Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs maneuver. Remember, was it Bear Stearns? Trading at $80, $90, $100 something bucks, all-time high, whatever it was. I think it was Bear Stearns. Or was it Lehman? I think it was Bear. And the crash happens before they wanted to bail anybody out, of course. And then I think it was one of JP Morgan, we'll give you $1. We'll give you $1 a share, we'll buy you out. We'll take that customer base you got for $1. $1. And then I think they, no, we can't do it. All right, we'll give you $2, if I recall. And that's what they got. So they got a fire sale before, so in other words, I might expect these companies get trashed stock price wise. Somebody comes in, break them apart next, buy them out. Okay, you're buying this company for pennies on the dollar because of what happens. And then those stocks, which again, if it's different companies within, like there could be a YouTube separate, Google search engine separate, something else separate, Alphabet separate, which is just the parent company. Anyway, so you would normally think YouTube would probably be the big money maker. But again, we need something other than that. We're tired of being silenced, put down the back. Oh, Mark Dice search for a video he has millions of views on, and you get trash videos instead of his, and he's buried on page 3 or something. Okay, he had over 1 million views. None of these videos have that many views. None of them have as many thumbs up. Why wouldn't his be first, especially if you're searching for exactly what his video title is and everything? Because he's being silenced, like me and everybody else. So, yeah, we don't care about breaking apart. Now, the only difference would be whoever buys YouTube and therefore becomes the owner of it and gets rid of all the liberals. Get out of here. We may have make America great again. We may have a MAGA make YouTube great again. Just saying. Take care.